I didn't know if you wanted to talk about this or not, but I just thought I would bring it up to see what your spin is about Sean Puffy Combs and all these revelations. I'm not going to say they're new revelations, but these revelations. What do you think all this is about?
In my opinion, Baba David, I believe that the U.S. government is experimenting with black people's social tolerance for oppression. And what I mean by that is when I look at the R. Kelly situation, when I look at the Bill Cosby situation, when I look at the Sean Puffy Combs situation, what I see is a movement by the white power structure to destroy black billionaires of influence. And although they may have been guilty of some of the things they were accused of, these takedowns have nothing to do with the crimes they're being accused of. And the reason these takedowns have nothing to do with the crimes that they're being accused of is these crimes, although egregious, are a regular fact of life in the music business, and they are a regular fact of life in Hollywood. So if you were so against the sexual exploitation of women or men or whomever, then why is there not a industry-wide takedown of all the singers and artists and moguls and producers, regardless of color, who were engaged in this? So this clearly is not a crackdown. You're targeting individuals, and you want to see whether or not Black America is going to stand by and help you do this. And unfortunately, as we did with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and others, we celebrated it. We celebrated the takedown of these black billionaires. Now, I'm not saying we should turn a blind eye to the crime, but I'm saying our political IQ has to be high enough where we can recognize when we are being played, and we are being played. Bill Cosby was not about no sex abuse of no white women. Bill Cosby was about that oil under the house that he wouldn't give the white oil companies access to drill for. You know, the R. Kelly takedown was not about any sex crimes against children. It was about the fact he didn't want to sell his master recordings to a certain music company, the same company that assassinated Michael Jackson. And even here with Sean Puffy Combs, I don't think this has anything to do with any sex crimes. I think part of this is due to the fact that they wanted to take the Revolt Network from him because it was growing in popularity, but also because Sean Puffy Combs had filed a lawsuit against one of the largest liquor companies in the world for practicing discrimination against his particular brand. All of these charges against Puffy do not come out until after he files the lawsuit. So I think this is a smack on the back to remind him that white people are still in charge no matter how much money you have. I think it is a billionaire takedown, and they are studying Black America to see if we will let this go on. And the reason why it's so important for us to not feed into the agendas of the power structure carried out by mainstream media, Baba, is because if they can do this to Puff Daddy, who's worth billions, imagine how quickly they could do it to DR.UMAR. If they could do this to Bill Cosby, who's worth billions, imagine how easy they could do that to Baba David. We got to look at the long-term effects of this. If they can destroy wealthy black men this easily in a matter of days, what can they do to our freedom fighters who are not guilty of perpetuating such crimes? If they can destroy them in the public eye in a matter of days, imagine what they could do to the rest of us. So we need to be very careful about jumping on the white media's bandwagon whenever they decide to engage in another seek and destroy mission against black billionaires. And here's the thing, Baba. I believe Puffy may be guilty of many of those crimes. I do not believe Sean Puffy Combs is guilty of kidnapping people he do not know and selling them into sex. I don't believe it. He doesn't need to do that. He's too popular, too famous, with too much money. He does not need to kidnap people and sell them into sex trafficking. Now, does he exploit the people he's employing? Probably. Did he entice his girlfriend to do some less than honorable things behind closed doors? Probably. Did he entice some of his male employees to engage in same-sex relations against their will? Maybe. But nobody's going to convince me that Sean Puffy Combs was out here paying people to kidnap random people off the street, bring them to the house he sleeps in so he can sell them on the underground sex trafficking market. That's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. A lot of young people listen to you. A lot of young people admire your conversation, and a lot of young people would follow your lead. And if you had the opportunity, what is it that you would say to young people about the violence that they are experiencing in schools right now?
Well, unfortunately, the adults we have not guided our young people in the way in which they should go. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes when we have these conversations, not with you per se, Baba David, because you talk about it yourself, but when we have these conversations about child or adolescent youth violence in the Black community, the elders or the adults, they often discuss youth violence in the Black community as if it has nothing to do with them. Mm-hmm. We are the reasons that the youth are killing each other, fighting each other, shooting each other at bus stops, the big fights on the buses. There was a situation that happened in Maryland not too long ago. There was a big fight even between the fraternities, Black fraternities. A lot of this is because we don't have a council of elders, not a national one. It's not systemic. So there's no law and order because we don't have the elders in place to administer it. You see, we don't have a rites of passage in place for our young people. They receive almost no guidance at all. Social media has been a curse in the life of young Black children because they're being raised by social media where they're being exposed to any and everything without any filter at all. Our single Black mothers who are doing the best job that they can, so I don't blame them, but they are using social media as a babysitter because it's a very effective babysitter. But of course, the side effect of that babysitter being social media is that your child is being indoctrinated with sex, violence, and all types of other agendas that this society is pushing in our community. And simply put, the children are dysfunctional because the adults are not guiding them. We are the reason they are doing exactly what they're doing. And this is not going to stop on its own. It's only going to stop when Black men and Black women take a hands-on approach to stopping the violence in our community. Nobody can stop the violence in the Black community except Black people.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you were, let's say, the school superintendent or the mayor, or if you had their ears, what is it that you would say to the mayor and the school superintendent about what they should be doing?
Well, one thing for the superintendent, you need to bring back the work-study programs. You need to bring back the work-study programs where children after school went and they worked at a job where they got meaningful experience, in the labor market. They got to see what it means to be responsible, what it means to have a job, what it means to report to work. And as someone who was part of a youth employment summer program here in the city of Philadelphia that I actually later managed and facilitated myself, nothing helped me stay more focused in college, Baba David, than working at a job that I did not like. I remember I used to work at Athlete's Foot sneaker store in Cheltenham Mall. I worked at Athlete's Foot, and the owner was a racist. I mean, he was a devout racist, extremely anti-Black. And that experience that summer was so uncomfortable. I might have been there 2 summers, but that experience was so uncomfortable that it helped motivate me to complete my studies at Millersville University in Pennsylvania. So there's just so many positive things that can come out of our children having an employment opportunity, which the school districts used to guarantee, and they stopped. Keep something in mind, Baba David. All these flash mobs that are taking place with our young people, they flash mobbing after school, they flash mobbing on the weekend. They would not be flash mobbing if they had a job that they could work and earn some decent pay through. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Our children are bored. They have nothing to do. The city isn't trying to give them anything. The Black church isn't trying to give them anything. The community-based organizations aren't giving them anything. So they are literally creating their own opportunity, and they're causing a lot of havoc. And I'm very concerned for the safety of our young people, Baba David. This summer, when school gets out, there's going to be even more of that flash mobbing. And I'm just afraid that these police are going to end up hurting one of our children. And that's why I hope we step in and do something about it sooner rather than later. I was in the Cherry Hill Mall about 2 weeks ago, Bobby David, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I was in, I forget, Macy's or one of them stores. I was looking for some dress shirts for FAMU, and a group of young black kids started running through the mall. I don't know if they stole something. I don't know what happened, and the police chased them down. They ended up catching them. They didn't brutalize them. But I was just so embarrassed standing there as a black man and seeing these young children here act like complete fools, running all through the mall, police tracking them down and throwing them down and, handcuffing them and walking them out. I was just embarrassed. And all I could say to myself is, where are the black men? If we were in their life, they wouldn't be inside the malls running around and acting like fools. We are literally walking into the trap. I mean, here you are, young black children, with the stereotypes that are placed upon you, and you're coming into a white shopping mall where nearly every store is owned by white people, and you're in here acting a fool. You're trying to steal, and it just so happened that those police, and they may have been mall security. They may have been mall security because they actually had the plastic ties around their wrists rather than handcuffs, if memory serves me correctly. But all I said to myself, Bobby David, what if these were those nasty racist street cops? If these were those nasty racist street cops, this situation could have turned very nasty very quickly. And it was about 50 kids, Bobby David. It wasn't a few of them.
Right.
It was like 50
Just
of them.
being nosy.
What the hell? And it was about 8 o'clock at night. It was almost time for the malls to close. And I'm like, what are y'all doing in the mall? This many of you.
They get on social media and say, let's meet up at the Cherry Hill Mall.
I think that's what they're doing, because I don't see how they coordinated that many youth to be in the same place. And it's a shame. And it's only going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And I don't like thinking about what can happen if this doesn't slow down, especially during the summer.